Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody tuning in for another Supatease PvP guide. And as per request, I got some 2 versus 2 footage in this video. It will be a Resto Druid Survival Hunter against Assassination Rogue Restoration Shaman, and in this I'm going to be going through what cooldowns you should be keeping your eyes on, what important crowd controls you should be looking to trade and or avoid, and just your general rotation and awareness in the match. This is basically going through my thoughts and a walkthrough of the game, play by play basically. So as the game starts, I am playing Prosperity to get the benefits of Grove Tending, which is extra healing when you Swiftmend, so reducing the cooldown of Swiftmending is very important. At the start of the game, I want to be in stealth and see if my hunter can find the rogue with a flare. Now, their shaman makes a wise move and puts an Earthgrab totem on the flare, expecting me to use that, and it manages to get me out of stealth. So as soon as I'm out of stealth, I want to be in bear form. This is so that the rogue cannot attack me right away. He recklessly decides to just open on me in bear form, so I'm much more durable. I'm also running Druid of the Claw, so that rejuvenation automatically applies, and I can just go into bear form and save mana for a late game. At the start of the match, I'm looking at crowd control, and in this situation, the shaman used Earthen Wall, expecting the freezing trap off the grappling hook, and denies really a lot of burst during this moment. And since the kill is basically lost, I'm doing my best to just get interrupts out of the way so that later on I can more safely follow up the crowd control chain, as I would be liking to Cyclone out of freezing trap. But as you can see, Kidney Shot is available. Vendetta has just been used, so I do not want to leave bear form. I want to trade Barkskin immediately for Vendetta and my hunter to use Roar of Sacrifice. This is the most amount of damage an Assassination Rogue can do in any match at any period of time. So you always want to use Barkskin, and you want to do your best to be in bear form for it. You can then use Frenzy Regeneration to recover if needed. In this position, I switch Life Bloom to my hunter as the rogue has switched targets, but now we have crowd control on the shaman. So I make an aggressive move towards the shaman, and I try to go for a Cyclone. Fortunately, I was on diminishing return, so this Kidney Shot doesn't end up being too detrimental, and I'm just soaking interrupts so that I can do a bash potentially into Cyclone. I need to try and get Kick out of the way. They end up using 2 stops on that, Grounding Totem and Kick, and they miss their Kick. So because of this, I want to be aggressive. I want to try and get a Cyclone. I can then use Swiftmend to immediately recover myself or go into bear form if needed, but usually a Cyclone is not enough on its own, so I then chain the Cyclone into a bash, and I am hoping that my hunter has a freezing trap out of the chain, and that continued perfectly to get a Gladiator's Medallion, which now means the next crowd control chain they will not be able to break out of, and we are more likely to be able to get a win. I pre-Iron Barked this incoming blind, and if that is accomplished, you may not need to Trinket, but in 2v2, dampening stacks a lot higher, and Iron Bark can sometimes be unreliable, and I didn't want to fall behind into an unrecoverable position, and it is likely that we can close the match here very shortly with either player not having Gladiator's Medallions. So the Shaman, knowing how desperate the situation is, use Earthen Wall Totem before the crowd control and tried to predict it. We didn't use the crowd control, so now that Earthen Wall Totem will be fading and my hunter will be looking for crowd control. So what I need to do is avoid this Kidney Shot and then look for a Cyclone. So I'm looking to see if my hunter uses a stun on the rogue, and if he does, then I would like to go for a casted Cyclone, and if he doesn't, it's not worth the risk in this position. As Omnibar has just told me, Vendetta is available again, and if I get caught out of form like this, it seems very odd that he is not actually just pulling the trigger on the Vendetta, but I am running Renewal, and I have Frenzy Regeneration, and it should be quite easy for me to recover, but I end up being greedy with the Renewal just a tad bit. And I keep Lifeline on my hunter because this rogue is attacking 2 targets. I can use Frenzy Regen for myself, and my hunter does not have that, and I try and split my healing evenly. In this position, I see my hunter going for crowd control, so I look to move in line of sight and try and continue the chain. Afterward, I believe it would have been wise for me in this position to move towards the shaman and continue the crowd control chain. This is a bit of a mistake on me delaying it so long, because now it's going to be much more difficult. If I had gone towards the shaman and bashed the rogue, neither player would be able to stop my Cyclone, and it is quite possible that we would have won the game in that point. So this is a mistake in the match. Using Bash on Rogue and casting Cyclone out of trap could have secured victory quite likely, and now the match will continue on as a result of not seeing that opening. If you can see an opportunity to crowd control 2 members and prevent them from stopping you on your chain, that's usually a very powerful win condition. Now we are far behind with Vendetta, and I did not have Barkskin. Fortunately, we had counter pressure, and the Rogue opted to not pursue during Vendetta, which does give us a lot of breathing room to recover. You can see I'm always splitting my healing. I've life bloom on myself, so I swift mended my Hunter, and I basically don't want to commit all of my healing to one target when they are focusing on hitting multiple players. In this position, we get a freezing trap, so I look to move in line of sight of the Shaman and try to continue the chain, but there are multiple spells to stop me in this position. They have a kick, grounding totem, and wind shear, so my likelihood of getting this Cyclone anytime soon is very slim, so instead I opt to play defensive around the corner. In this position, the Rogue did not need to trinket the intimidation stun. We did not have any crowd control or pressure going, and now that can give us an opening. So I use Vortex to hold the Shaman in place and then try to look for Cyclones. I need to fake cast multiple interrupts, so I managed to fake cast Wind Shear. I then choose to trinket and go for a Bash Cyclone, but get denied once again by the Rogue. As I said, there are multiple spells in this position to stop my Cyclone, and sometimes it's better to know when to stop. In this position, we get a freezing trap, so I really want to keep it going. So I try and fake cast the kick. I get through the kick. There's nothing to stop my cast, and I am managed to chain the crowd control. But because the Shaman used Earthen Wall Totem before the crowd control, the Rogue is durable and does not go down, or the Shaman does not need to trinket. I play a little bit cheeky and go for another Cyclone, and this is where picking your moment as a Druid is very important, because your healing is not very powerful at the moment, and Cyclone is very slow due to the amount of haste you have available. Because of those risky Cyclones, I put my team very far behind, and in this position we can just win off of pressure because of mana, so it is no longer worth the risk for me to really look for Cyclones. It is much better for me to be in bear form, have as many hots up as possible on the team, and just focus on surviving simply because of mana, and they ultimately run out of steam and go down to the pressure. So in this video, some things to take away. You want to be trying to line up Ironbark with kidney shots and or vendettas. Sometimes you'll have to use it just on pressure because dampening stacks up so much faster in 2v2. You want to be getting in position for Cyclones out of freezing traps, and when possible, if you can cross crowd control, so bash the Rogue and Cyclone the Shaman, that option is a clear win condition for you. Generally, Druid of the Claw is very powerful versus melee classes in 2v2 that want to attack you, as it will apply rejuvenation to you, and you do not have to risk leaving bear form, and you can also save the mana cost from having to rejuvenate yourself, or if you're getting purged, I would definitely recommend Druid of the Claw for that reason. Other than that, thank you for tuning into this video, and I'll see you on the next one. I'm uploading these walkthroughs every single day, so definitely consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell, and following me over at twitch.tv/Supatease or on Twitter at Supatease. I really appreciate all of the support, and I do my best to read every question down below in the comment section, so if you have any feedback and or questions that you would like directly answered, I do my best to answer those as soon as possible all the time. So definitely check it out, and I'll see you on the next video.